Hello everyone. This is the 29th part of the story, I'm Voldemort. Chapter 188, Searching. Since this is an extraordinary situation, Tom didn't bother with common courtesy and strolled straight through the front door. Surprisingly, the place was left unlocked and without any magical protections to keep intruders out. That's suspicious. Tom says and receives nods of agreement from those with him. Keep your guard up. Saying this, Tom leads them through the halls of the compound, looking for any of the residents or possible intruders. Searching every room one by one, Tom and his group don't find a single living soul. The entire mansion was empty, which wasn't a good sign. Split up and search for any evidence of their involvement with the dark dimension. Tom orders. Everyone picks a direction and spreads out to search the place for any evidence. During their first sweep of the place, they were only looking for people. Now they are looking for anything that could link these people to Dormammu in any way. While everyone was looking around the place, Tom started looking for something else. A compound this big should have a basement, yet throughout their first search, Tom didn't see one at all. At first, Tom tried to use some locator spells to find any hidden entrances, but nothing seemed to work. There must be some sort of barrier blocking me, Tom thought as his last locator spell failed. Since magic wasn't doing its work, Tom decided to search the old-fashioned way. Walking through every room in the compound, Tom checked behind every mirror, bookcase, and painting. Movie logic says that these are the most likely areas to hold secret passages. After searching for less than a few minutes, Tom found a very suspicious bookshelf. No matter how much he tried to move it and peek behind, the shelf wouldn't budge a single centimeter. Throwing a quick unlocking charm at the shelf, it slides open, revealing a stairway leading downward. This is really cliché, Tom mutters as he strolls down the stairs. At least clichés are predictable. While Tom descended into the darkness, his eyes instantly adjusted to the pitch-black area. At the bottom of the stairs is a long corridor, leading to a laboratory sort of room filled with books and lab equipment. Along the wall are glass chambers of various sizes filled with all sorts of beings from animals, humans, and aliens. Each of them was submerged in a bluish-tinted liquid. That's disgusting, Tom mutters as his eyes survey the naked aliens and humans. Doing a quick spell, Tom found that all of the test subjects were dead and had been for a while. The only thing keeping them preserved must be the blue liquid. Looking through the room, Tom found many books and research papers that would definitely get these people excommunicated from Camartage or even killed depending on the Ancient One's mood. Seeing the pile of evidence against these people's character, Tom now heavily suspects them of working with Dormammu. After searching the entire room, Tom's group came down and found him. They finished searching the entire compound and came looking for him. Wow, this place is disgusting, one of the masters comments as they see the test tubes along the walls. Yeah, everything in here is very damning for these people. The chances of them working with Dormammu just went up by a lot, Tom says as he places a book back on the shelf. Did you guys find anything? No, but they seem to have packed their things. The closets and dressers are completely empty. I don't think they planned on coming back, the female master of the group says. Then why leave all of this behind? Tom asks, motioning towards the room filled with damning evidence against them. Maybe they were in a rush, or they didn't think anyone would find this room, one of the masters comments. Whatever the reason was doesn't matter, I guess. We need to find them quickly, Tom says, looking at his group. Do any of you know where they would go? Any hideouts they frequent? No one spoke up as none of them were close to Lestrade and his minions. They all kept their distance as dealing with that group tended to cause them headaches. No one? Tom asks again, not receiving an answer. All right, head back to Camartage. I'll pack these books up and have them moved to the Ancient One's private collection for her to look over. We'll start a search for these people tomorrow. Not needed to be told twice, the Master's portal back to Camartage, leaving Tom behind in the secret lab. Mimsy. Tom calls his favorite elf. Pop. Master. Mimsy yells and tackles into Tom's leg. Mimsy misses you so much. Mimsy starts crying as her nose gets runny, causing tears and snot to get all over Tom's pants. I'm sorry I've been busy lately, Mimsy. I'll try to call you more often. Tom says, patting her bald head. Master promises? Mimsy asks with upturned eyes. I promise. Tom answers easily, causing his head elf to calm down and let go of his leg. Can you package these books and any other papers laying around? Oh, and vanish those test subjects along the walls, please. Hearing her master's orders, Mimsy perks up immensely. It's been a while since her master called for her, as he has school and other things to worry about, so getting any orders from Tom brings a happy smile to Mimsy's face. Once everything was packaged and gone, Tom left the compound and returned to his room in Camartage. As he steps through the portal, he's met with a scantily clad Druella sleeping soundly on his bed. Was she waiting for me? Tom thought as he sees that she still has her makeup on. I guess I took too long. Stripping down to his boxers and crawling into bed, Tom brings his fiancée into his arms and pulls her close, falling asleep alongside her. Chapter 189, Finishing School, Part 1. Tom had another day before heading back to Hogwarts, so he used that day to start a search for the missing masters. Though, he knows that they most likely won't find them. Masters of the mystic arts are very crafty and versatile. The chance of them hiding out in an easily found location is extremely slim. They could be hiding in another dimension for all Tom knows, or they could be in a tiny shack in the middle of nowhere that's magically expanded on the inside, like the Doctor's TARDIS. When it comes to the mystic arts, the possibilities for hiding places go on, so finding them is highly unlikely. Although it is unlikely, Tom still sent teams of masters out searching any possible areas. Not only does he have people searching, Tom has masters constantly taking turns, using tracking spells and arrays to magically pinpoint their location. Soon, time passed and Tom returned to school along with his beautiful fiancée Druella. In his spare time and during the weekends, Tom would return to Camartage to give orders and make sure everything was going smoothly. Due to everyone living together, none of the masters or students were showing any signs of corruption. Although for all they know, Dormammu has already gained a group of sorcerers, which would explain the lack of problems arising in Camartage. Dormammu already has Lestrade and his group as his in, so he has no need to look for others, and even if he wanted to, Tom has made it so that would be very risky. After a while, everyone in Tom's apparition class mastered teleporting the ball. Each of them could do it 100 out of 100 times just like Tom did on his last day of class. Seeing as they caught up, Tom was informed that he was to report to class once again. His first day returning to class was a big one. This is the day every student would be apparating themselves across a small distance of a few feet. As Tom arrived in the open field once again, he could see the nervous expressions of every student there. He didn't blame them for being nervous, as even he was nervous as well. Although if anyone there didn't need to be nervous, it was Tom Riddle. He didn't fully know it yet, but thanks to his avatar status and his bonding with Arthur, Tom could regenerate from almost any injury, including severed limbs. Hell, he might even survive being beheaded, but that would be a very risky thing to test. Attention students. The professor arrived and called for everyone's attention with a very serious demeanor. This is the most dangerous day our class will ever have. I don't wish to scare you, but this has to be conveyed. There will be no fooling around in this class. If I see a single one of you horsing around, I'll have you expelled before you can even apologize. Does everyone understand? Yes. Some students voice their agreement while others simply nod their heads. Now, all we will be doing today is apparition of a very small distance. Simply remember all that you've learned and do your best. I'm sure everyone will do splendidly, she says and looks over at Tom. Mr. Riddle, since you were the first to master the last exercise, why don't you showcase this one to the rest of the class? Yeah. Sure. Tom says, moving to the front of the class. He knows that she just wants someone among the students to ease the group's nerves a bit. Tom is the best option for that, as he will most likely breeze through any exercise. Now, everyone stand back a bit and give Mr. Riddle some room, the professor says, causing the students to give Tom a wide berth. None of them want Tom to apparate into them and become his conjoined twin. Although being conjoined with the Tom Riddle may have its perks, it isn't worth the life-threatening possibilities. Remember everything you've learned and move yourself a few feet ahead of you, the teacher says, grabbing Tom's shoulders and pointing him away from the class. With nothing but an open field ahead, Tom used his occlumency to calm his mind and execute everything he's learned without any mistakes. Suddenly, Tom disappeared and appeared a few meters into the distance. He only tried to go a few feet ahead, yet he went far over double the distance he meant to go. As soon as he appeared, Tom gasps for breath, filling his empty lungs, and stumbles onto the grassy floor. Once he caught his breath, Tom gave himself a once-over, checking for any missing or injured body parts. While Tom's checking himself, the professor appears next to him and does the same. Well done, Mr. Riddle. Although, next time go for a shorter distance, she says after making sure her student wasn't injured. After that, the rest of the class went one by one, so the professor could check each of them at a time. Some of the students injured themselves, but it was nothing compared to the Gryffindor incident on the first day. Just some minor damage and some destroyed belongings. A few of the students lost a good chunk of their hair as well, which was entertaining to watch. Time passed once again and the school year started coming to an end. Tom mastered apparition after a few days and didn't need to attend that class anymore. During one of the weekends after his mastery, he was permitted to use the school's flow in order to go and take the test for his apparition license, which was easily obtained. Now, all Tom has to worry about were the NEWTs and trying one last time to get Lady Hogwarts' mission completed. If not, then he would have to continue the mission as a professor. Chapter 190 Finishing School, Part 2. Once Tom and every other 7th-year student took their NEWTs, Tom decided to throw an end-of-the-year part in the Great Hall. There is only a week left of school and Tom wants to use that time to get Lady Hogwarts' mission completed. He knows that he's close. The interaction between Hogwarts houses has been going extremely well. It's just a matter of time before he gains control over the castle and its wards. It wasn't hard to get permission from the headmaster for the party. The man would let Tom get away with anything except murder at this point. Of course, since this is a party to bring everyone together, Tom invited every person in the castle from students to faculty. Even the ghosts were welcome to join as well. Since the majority of students weren't of noble descent, Tom didn't bother treating this as a gathering of nobility. That would just cause a divide in the students as many would feel out of place, so Tom decided to go with a school dance theme. He even got a few popular bands from the wizarding world to come and play for the party. Tom just hoped that it wouldn't be awkward, as he remembers these things being that way back in the other Earth. Although awkward situations have a possibility to bring people together, hopefully. Speaking of awkward situations, everyone is still living in Camartage, waiting for an attack that may never arrive. This whole year has been especially busy for Tom. With the Ancient One away, Tom has been given the added burden of keeping Camartage running, which has been fairly smooth at least. That's the problem though. Some have voiced their displeasure with living in Camartage and want to return to their homes, as no sign of an impending attack has been seen at all, but Tom won't allow anyone to leave. At least not until the return of his mother. Speaking of the Ancient One, Tom can't help but feel as though she's taking advantage of the situation, and relaxing somewhere reading and eating her snacks. Bald Sorceress Vacation Home. Achoo. The Bald One herself sneezes. Is it dusty in here or something? Reaching her hand into a bag of potato chips, the Ancient One finds that the bag is empty. I need more snacks. Back to Tom. No, she wouldn't pull something like that. Tom denies it, but deep down he knows the truth. Although many wanted to leave, Tom and many of the high-level masters were able to keep everyone from revolting. There was a good thing about having so many masters in Camartage at once though. The students were getting the best training for every subject. Bored masters with nothing to do volunteered to teach their specialty to any student that was willing to learn. Suddenly, Camartage found itself with a large influx of teachers, and a plethora of new subjects being taught. Even Tom attended some classes in his spare time for the subjects he either skimmed over or hasn't even started yet. It is truly a golden age for students in Camartage right now. As long as they take advantage of this situation, the next batch of master will be truly exceptional. Soon, the day of the year-ending party arrived. It was a bit awkward in the beginning, as school dances tend to be, but it all seemed to go well. Tom made sure to have pre-arranged seating, so he could mix and match tables during the dining portion of the evening. Tom and Druella tried to have a good mix of students from opposing houses at each table in order to better integrate everyone. When the night ended and everyone left, Tom stayed behind with Druella as the house elves cleaned the great hall. Do you think it worked? Druella asked, knowing that Tom wanted to use this party to complete his task. I don't know. Tom answered as they watched the elves disappear after swiftly cleaning everything. As the elves disappeared, the sorting hat appeared on the table to the right of Tom and Druella. Report to the room of requirement. The hat said in a hushed tone and disappeared as if it were never there. Is that a good sign? Druella turned to Tom with an upturned eyebrow. I have no idea. Tom replies, hoping he's finished his task. Let's go and find out, shall we? Tom holds out his arm for her to grasp, as a proper gentleman should, and they stroll through the castle halls, making their way to the room of requirement. Walking through the door, one after the other, Tom and Druella are met with a scene they didn't expect. The room was huge with extremely high ceilings. It's dimly lit everywhere except for the middle of the room, where a humongous metal pillar glows in a purple light. The pillar is so tall and wide that it would put the biggest giant sequoia tree to shame. On the pillar itself, Tom could see countless scribbles of runes and glyphs covering every inch from top to bottom. Suddenly, the light of the pillar grew brighter and an ethereal figure of a woman appeared in front of it. You've finally completed the task I've given you. It took you long enough. Chapter 191, Finishing School, Part 3. You've finally completed the task I've given you. It took you long enough. The ethereal female figure said. I take it that you're Lady Hogwarts? Tom asks as he and Druella stare, stunned at the pillar she came out of, which just so happens to be the Hogwarts wardstone. Yes, that's me. I would like to thank you for accomplishing the task I've given you. I know it wasn't easy, but you completed it nonetheless. Lady Hogwarts says gratefully as she bows in Tom's direction. You're welcome. Does this mean you accept me as the owner of the castle now? Tom says, knowing that means he would be her owner as well, as she is the castle itself. Lady Hogwarts goes quiet for a moment as a tense atmosphere fills the room. On one hand, Lady Hogwarts wields the power of a very powerful and old warded castle that sits on a cross-section of multiple ley lines, so she could go back on her word and kick Tom out or even kill him if she wanted to. On the other hand, Tom has grown to be extremely powerful. If she were to try anything funny, Tom would probably have the advantage now. Especially since they are currently in the heart of the castle, which is technically the heart of Lady Hogwarts. One well-placed attack and Tom could easily kill Lady Hogwarts at any moment, depending on how durable the ward stone is. After a moment of thought, Lady Hogwarts looked straight into Tom's eyes and spoke up. Yes, it does. Lady Hogwarts gets down on one knee and bows her head. Master. As she calls Tom Master, the pillar behind her lights up and brightens the entire room like a blinding sun. Shielding their eyes from the intense amount of light, Tom and Drusilla wait until the light dies down. Relying on his other senses, Tom makes sure Lady Hogwarts isn't trying anything funny. Her short pause from earlier made him slightly suspicious of Lady Hogwarts. Thanks to his heightened senses from his various power-ups, Tom didn't sense anything, but could he even sense anything in the first place? Lady Hogwarts is an ethereal figure after all. When the light died down, Tom and Drusilla uncovered their eyes and saw Lady Hogwarts still kneeling before them. Behind her is the same giant metal ward stone, but something was definitely different about it. It is completely smooth without a single rune, glyph, or carving in sight. From top to bottom the pillar was completely smooth. Please place your hand on the ward stone and push your magic inside. Lady Hogwarts says as she stands and gestures at the pillar. Be warned that it will take a lot of your magic. Though seeing how much magic you have in your reserves, it would barely take more than 1 out of 100th of it. Still slightly suspicious of her, Tom walks up to the pillar, leaving Drusilla standing by the door. So, all I have to do is touch the pillar and it will what? Tom asks as he stands between Lady Hogwarts and Wardstone. Your magical signature will be registered as the owner of me, Hogwarts Castle, which would give you full control over the castle's defenses, wards, and most of all me. Lady Hogwarts explains and gestures for Tom to touch the pillar. Well, all right. Tom shrugs and touches the pillar, pumping as much magic in as it can take. If she tries anything, Tom should be able to handle it. He has Lady Death keeping him from dying and Drusilla watching his back from the door. As Tom pumps magic into the pillar, slowly the former runes and glyphs that covered its surface started to appear as if they were being carved into the metal one by one. Finally, when every bit of the pillar was covered in markings once again, it wouldn't take any more of Tom's magic, no matter how much he tried to give it more. Congratulations, Master. You're now the registered owner of Hogwarts Castle. Lady Hogwarts says with a twinge of annoyance in her voice. Although she was the one to make this deal in the first place, Lady Hogwarts wasn't sure how she felt about having an owner. She hasn't been truly owned by anyone since the founders, but she wasn't exactly sentient at the time. It could be worse. Lady Death thought as she stared at her new master. She's been watching every move of Tom's since the moment he entered Hogwarts. She knew that he wouldn't be overbearing and cruel, so at least she lucked out in that department. While Tom was familiarizing himself with everything he now controlled in the castle, from the advanced ward schemes to the moving stairs, Lady Hogwarts firmly grasped her situation and did her best to come to terms with it. Hello. Drusilla greets as she walked up to Lady Hogwarts. I'm Drusilla, but I'm sure you already knew that. Yes, I know who you are, Ms. Rosier. I remember every student that has ever attended Hogwarts. Thank you for helping bring the school together. I know you played a big part in this as well. Lady Hogwarts says thankfully as she gives Drusilla a small bow. It was no problem at all. Running those clubs was hectic but fun nonetheless. Druella answers politely. As they're talking, Tom finished his investigation of his new privileges over the castle and speaks up. Well, thank you for keeping your word. I was worried for a moment that you would try to renege on our deal. Tom says his thanks as he walks over to Druella's side. I won't lie and say it didn't cross my mind. Chapter 192 Flashback Prophecy. I won't lie and say it didn't cross my mind. Lady Hogwarts says with a shrug. I didn't think you would actually be able to bring the school together in the first place though. It seems that I shouldn't have doubted the prophecy. Hearing the words prophecy, Tom and Druella's ears perk up a bit. What prophecy? Tom asks, knowing a prophecy can be either detrimental or helpful. On her deathbed in this very school, Lady Hufflepuff went into a trance and spoke of a prophecy. It was about a boy that would come to Hogwarts and bring the shattered houses together. She was alone at the time and died soon after giving it, so no one heard it but me. Lady Hogwarts explains. You're sure that's all the prophecy spoke of? No other odd or possibly foreboding phrases were thrown in there? Tom asks, hoping nothing crazy was added in there as well. Well, there was something odd maybe. Lady Hogwarts reveals with a hand on her chin. What? Druella asks as she leans forward in curiosity. Of course, there was something. There always is. Tom thought as he gave Lady Hogwarts a look that said, tell me already. Well, when I said she died soon after telling the prophecy, I was leaving out a few key details. Lady Hogwarts says hesitantly. Get on with it already. I need to get some sleep tonight. Tom says as his time is very limited and sleep is hard to come by. Right, sorry. Lady Hogwarts apologizes. This is what happened. Flashback Hogwarts Castle. In a room decorated in the black and yellow Hufflepuff colors, an aged woman with thinning gray hair lay asleep on a king-size bed matching the rest of the room's Hufflepuff decor. The aged woman is none other than Lady Helga Hufflepuff, one of the 4 founders of the Wizarding World's first school of magic, Hogwarts. The years have been hard on her tired body and mind, but nothing hurt her more than the division of her friends. Bickering and fighting amongst one another until nothing remained of their former bond. Salazar left years ago and hadn't returned or even sent a letter to tell his friends he was alive. Godric grew detached from reality when Salazar left. Although they would fight and bicker at the drop of a sickle, both sides loved each other like brothers. There was no closer bond among the founders than Gryffindor and Slytherin. Salazar leaving hurt Godric deeply, leaving a snake-shaped void in the old Gryffindor's heart. Rowena retreated to her books, constantly striving to grow a bit more knowledgeable every day. Throughout the drama between her closest friends, books became Rowena's safe haven away from her real-world problems. Helga did her best to pick up the pieces where others left them. When her friends retreated inwardly, Lady Hufflepuff rose to the challenge. She took the position of headmaster and did her best to minimize the high tensions that were ever growing in Hogwarts. Each house became its own island, where no one was allowed to fraternize with outsiders. Outsiders being other houses, of course. It was Lady Hufflepuff that made multi-house classes mandatory, which helped immensely in lowering tensions. Although, it was hard to implement in the beginning. The first few classes with Gryffindors and Slytherins started and ended in fights between both sides with every student joining in. Lady Hufflepuff has done a lot of good in her long life, especially towards the students of Hogwarts. Now, she sleeps peacefully, awaiting her death. She's been bedridden for a few weeks now. Every day the Hogwarts Mediwitch comes to check on her, making her last days as comfortable as magically possible. Suddenly, Lady Hufflepuff's eyes shot open as she sat straight up like the Undertaker from WWE. With her eyes wide open and a hollow look on her face, Helga Hufflepuff started reciting a prophecy. /N, I'm too lazy to write a rhyming prophecy, so you get a description of it instead. She spoke of a descendant of the founder that fled coming to Hogwarts and fixing the mess made by its founders. How he would unite the houses and make Hogwarts the way it was supposed to be from the beginning. A place where anyone is welcome to learn. As she started coming to what seemed to be the end of the prophecy, her eyes widened in horror as she shrieked louder than a banshee and fell backward onto her pillow once again, dead. The shriek of Lady Hufflepuff was heard by every person in Hogwarts that night. No one knew where it came from or who it was, but many of the younger students were haunted by what they heard that night for days. The next morning, Lady Hufflepuff was found dead. Presumed to have died in her sleep, peacefully. No one suspected such a loud screech could come from such an old and frail woman, so no one ever suspected it was her. Flashback end. Great, just great. Tom says, the sarcasm clear in his voice. The only thing worse than having a bad prophecy about you is not knowing the bad prophecy. Hearing Tom's words, Druella couldn't help but nod in agreement. The shriek could have been because of many different things. Hell, it could have been her seeing Tom's encounter with Noel, but Tom doesn't think that's the case. Tom doesn't know for sure. It's just a gut feeling he has. This marks the end of part 29 of the story, I'm Voldemort. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe the video to listen more. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content uploaded to the channel ASAP.